Do you keep hearing podcast ads, like this one, for example, but always wonder how you actually get involved with them for your own brand or organization? Well, it's easier than you think. We're Acast, and we give you the platform to do it all yourself. Browse thousands of popular podcasts, choose the shows that match your perfect audience, set your budget, and launch. And if you want a hand, our podcast specialists are there to help you launch with confidence. This is podcast advertising without barriers. Get started at acast.com/advertise.
Plan B made over-the-counter emergency contraception legal more than 20 years ago. It's a safe, effective backup birth control option that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts by temporarily delaying ovulation. Plan B is the #1 OBGYN recommended brand and the only one you can find at all major retailers in all 50 U.S. states. There's no minimum age requirement and you don't need an ID to buy it. You can order it through DoorDash and other major delivery platforms too. That's freedom to be. Use as directed.
You've got social dialed in. Search is doing its thing. So why do your marketing results look the same as 6 months ago? That's because you're fishing in the same pond as everyone else. Podcast listeners are a different audience entirely. More engaged, harder to reach through traditional channels, and ready to act when someone they trust makes a recommendation. We're Acast, and we put them right in front of you. Browse thousands of the world's leading podcasts, book host reads or run your own ads, and track every conversion in real time. Same skills you already have, brand new results. Acast. Acast.com/advertise.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Toby.
And welcome to day 3 of 14 days of summer fear. I've got 3 spooky summer stories to share today, and I'll get straight into these. Are you ready for the first story?
Yes, I am.
Smoky Mountain National Forest. I was on the way to Knoxville late November and decided to cut through Cherokee on the way there. I got through town and got into the forest headed towards Gatlinburg, and almost immediately felt like I was being watched. I was convinced it was just my anxiety acting up, and started recording a voice message to my friend about it, even though I knew it wouldn't go through for a while. Within 30 seconds of finishing the message, a solid white humanoid slowly walked across the road from the woods and vanished up the mountain. It was totally proportional to a human as far as I could tell from the distance I was at. That was all I saw the rest of the drive, but I also didn't see a single car for another 45 plus minutes, and the anxiety definitely didn't let up. I was just talking to a local and decided to post here after he claims he saw the same thing around Knoxville, and said locals called it white hair. It didn't look hairy to me, but it wasn't like skin and bones type thing that would make you think Wendigo either. Any thoughts? I bet it's pretty gutting really when you see something when you're driving and then you're like, did I just see that or what?
Yeah.
I once, when we were on holiday, I think you were born then, we were going on holiday and I swear I saw some legs sticking out of a bush.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a mannequin. I don't know, and I've always thought about it and regretted not going back to find out what it was.
Oh, real legs are not ways a mannequin in the book.
Yeah, I think it was a mannequin and not a dead body is what I'm trying to say.
I think I'd be more scared if it was a mannequin in the bush.
Yeah.
Dead body.
What, really?
It's like, oh yeah, someone's obviously dumped it in there, but why are you putting a mannequin in a bush for?
Yeah, I get that, but I'd still be more frightened of a dead body. I love the way the locals call it white hair. That's great. You've got to give your local monster a name.
Yeah. Like the Gimp Man.
Yeah, Gimp Man. You've got to name everything that goes on in your area. Are you ready for the second story?
Yes, I am.
We had our lives saved by a ghost. Okay, so this is a story that nobody in my family believes except for my mum. And she probably only believes it because she was there for the backlash. Now, this happened when I was 11. That was, at this point, in excess of 40 years ago. So the fact that I remember it so clearly should tell you just how deeply it affected me. My family has a lot of mildly sensitive people in it. For most of us, it's just when we're kids. And by the time we hit double digits, it's long since gone. That was not the case for me. I was definitely much more sensitive as a child than I am now. I still seem to pick up a lot of things that other people don't. Anyway, back then I was still fairly sensitive, and that does have reference to this story. So what happened was that my mother had played musical chairs, the religious version, my entire childhood. And when I turned 10, she landed on the chair for the Mormon religion. Nice people for the most part, but I am not at all a religious person. Somewhat spiritual, yes, but I do not follow any particular religion and never have. But my mother decided to sign me up for the church summer camp. She was going as a counsellor, so she was there as well. Well, in the classic vein of every summer camp, ever, there was a story that was told about a ghost in the woods. The story basically said that the woods were haunted by the ghost of a young man who had drowned after falling off a dock out on the river, just a little ways into the woods. In a fit of the usual pre-teen idiocy, my cabin mates and I decided that we were going to sneak out on the last night and look for the ghost in the woods. Of course, none of us actually expected to find anything, but it was something creepy and fun to do. So at about 10:30 that night, lights out was at 9. The 10 of us slipped out the back window of the cabin with one flashlight and absolutely no idea which way we were heading or anything. Needless to say, we got hopelessly lost. It was just a bunch of 11 and 12-year-old girls fumbling around in the woods at night, trying to scare each other. It had been a nearly full moon when we left the cabin, but not too long after we got out into the woods, the moon disappeared, and suddenly it was very, very dark, and we did not have enough flashlights. As we all started to kind of realise just how screwed we were, and this very fun idea had not actually been very smart, things started getting creepy. With the lack of light, we decided to walk in a single line so that nobody would get lost. Each of us put our hands on the shoulders of the girl in front of us. I was actually the first one in line because I was the one who actually remembered to bring a flashlight. Anyway, we start walking around in a straight line in what we think is the direction we came from, trying to get back to the camp, when I started getting a really strong feeling that we were going the wrong way. I literally heard someone say, as if they were right next to me, "That way isn't safe. Go right." It was a male voice, and as I've mentioned, there's 10 of us out there, and we're all young girls. This was not the voice of anybody in our group. Anyway, following my sensitive gut feeling, I listened to the voice. I just had this feeling that it could be trusted. At first, I didn't say anything to the rest of the group about hearing the voice. I certainly didn't tell them that I was following its directions until the third time I heard it. Of course, we all evolved into a group of terrified, screaming children for about 20 minutes or so. But then we realised that no matter what else was going on, we really needed to get back to camp. So we lined back up with our hands on each other's shoulders and proceeded to walk again. I continued to get feelings and whispered directions, but the other girls started experiencing things as well. None of them heard a voice, but what they did experience was the sensation of a hand on one shoulder or the other, gently pushing them left or right. And it was never just one of them. It would literally be the entire line of us that would be gently pushed one after the other. As I said, it was not a shove. It was a gentle push to make us move off to the side. This happened to all of us, at least 24 times, over the course of the next several hours as we walked back through the woods, trying to find our way back to camp. We were located somewhere around 4 a.m. and escorted back to the camp, at which point, of course, we are all babbling hysterically, and one of the counsellors had to sit us all down and just get us to all calm down before they could even get a straight story out of us. Now that alone is a pretty creepy story, but it's something that seems fairly subjective and would easily be dismissed and forgotten. What really brought it all home was what happened the next day. We were not scheduled to depart until 4 p.m. the following day, so we had basically a whole day at camp before we would be going home. All of us girls had been sent in to sleep, and we were not woken up until lunchtime, because we had not slept during the night, and we were all physically and mentally exhausted. But we were all really surprised to be rounded up and told that we would be going on a walk in the woods because the camp counsellors and whatnot had some serious questions for us about the previous night. So basically, we were let out into the woods and we walked to the exact same path that we had walked the night before. At first, our path was very random, as we literally just tried to find our way through the woods. But it turned out that we had been heading towards a cliff that overlooked the river. There was about a 40-foot drop that we were heading straight for, and you could tell that we had stopped and taken a sharp turn to the right about 10 feet before we would have hit that cliff. We then walked parallel to the cliff for almost half a mile on a downward slope until we got close to the river. We could hear the river, so we had realised we were close to it, but we never saw it. What really had everyone scratching their heads was the fact that we came down the hill along the edge of the cliff, and then we had walked out onto an old rotting loading wharf. It wasn't a small dock like we had all pictured in our minds, hearing the ghost story. This thing was massive, like the size of a football pitch cut in half lengthwise, and it was full of rotted spots. We had walked across it in a weaving pattern that literally traced the only safe path across this dock, and we never even knew we were on it. But that is when we had felt the hands. Because we had been walking fairly level, and then we turned to the right after I heard the voice tell me, "That way isn't safe, go right." We had started going downhill, very noticeably downhill. And it was when it levelled out again that we felt the hands. That would have been when we were on the dock. Those hands kept us alive and got us across the dock safely. We walked close to 150 feet over rotten wood, and not a single one of us so much as stumbled. In daylight, You could clearly see the scuffed path along the dock that we had walked, and it was nothing like a straight line. Anyway, most of the counsellors did not believe that we had encountered a ghost, much less that he had guided us in that way and saved our lives. I think my mum was the only one who kind of believed us. They all just said that we were all incredibly lucky and they were going to let our parents decide what our punishment should be, as they'd be informing all of them about our little midnight escapade. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I never went back, and I never heard from any of the other girls again, since none of them went to the same church that I did. That's not my only ghost story, of course, but it's definitely one of the strangest things that has ever happened to me. Well, that young man ghost was obviously really helpful.
Yeah.
The kind of ghost we like to have around.
It's like that video where, have you seen it? It's like this guy's driving on like a pitch black road, and then all of a sudden a dove or something, a white bird, flies in front of the car.
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously slams on the brakes, and then it was just a drop.
Oh.
Like just to into abyss, like to the bottom.
Oh.
And there's obviously like a guardian angel.
Yeah. Dove of peace. Like it. Are you ready for the third and final story?
Yes, I am.
Skinwalker experience while camping. To start this off, I should say I'm not the best storyteller. I've read a lot of posts on here, and most people write these way better than I probably will, so just bear with me. I'm also going to change the names of everyone involved for privacy. I've thought about posting this for a while. Every time I start typing it out, I end up deleting it, because part of me still thinks maybe there's a normal explanation for what happened, and we just didn't figure it out. The thing that keeps bothering me, though, is that 4 of us were there, and we all remember the same parts. This happened during the summer of 2025. I live near the Appalachian Mountains in the northwest corner of North Carolina. And if you've ever been out there, you know how huge the forests are. There are miles of woods with old logging roads, dirt trails, and random clearings people sometimes camp in. You can go for a long time without seeing another person. I've always liked exploring places like that, even though it's probably not the smartest idea sometimes. A few friends asked if I wanted to go on a camping trip for about 6 days somewhere, deeper in the mountains than we normally go. I didn't really have anything planned that week, so I said yes pretty quickly. Looking back, I kind of wish I had thought about it more before agreeing. The day we left, I packed my clothes, my tent, sleeping bag, and basic camping stuff. The plan was to meet at a clearing one of my friends had found online. It was about a 45-minute drive from where I live. The other 3 had already left earlier that afternoon, so I was the last one heading out. While I was driving, we were on FaceTime, and they asked if I could stop somewhere and grab food for the trip. So I stopped at a small grocery store and picked up hot dogs, potatoes, chips, marshmallows, and some other stuff we could cook over the fire. When I walked back out to my car, the sky had that orange colour it gets right before the sun sets behind the mountains. The 3 friends I was meeting were people I'd known for years. I'll call the first one Jake. He was the one who planned the trip and was always finding weird trails or camping spots online. The second friend I'll call Liam. He liked camping, but wasn't really the exploring, abandoned or remote places type. The third friend I'll call Marcus. Marcus was usually the one who brought alcohol on trips and convinced people to do dumb things. Eventually the paved road turned into gravel, and then into a narrow dirt road through the trees. Around that time, my phone lost signal, which didn't surprise me, because that happens all the time out there. By the time I got to a clearing, it was almost dark. Jake's truck and Liam's car were parked near the tree line, and Marcus had already started a fire. Everything felt normal at first. We set up tents, cooked some food, and sat around the fire talking for hours. Jake and Marcus decided they were just going to sleep by the fire, and Liam and I set up our tents a little further away. The first 2 days of the trip were honestly normal. We explored some old trails during the day and hung around the campsite at night. The woods were quiet, but in a normal way. You could hear crickets, wind in the trees, and sometimes animals somewhere far away. Night 3 is when things started feeling strange. We were sitting around the fire again when Liam suddenly stopped talking and said he heard something in the trees behind us. Jake grabbed a flashlight and shined it out there. After a few seconds, the light landed on what looked like a deer standing between 2 trees, maybe 40 feet away. The weird thing was, it wasn't moving. It was just standing there, staring at us. Most deer run as soon as they see people, but this one didn't react at all. The longer we looked at it, the more uncomfortable it felt. It looked really thin, and its head was tilted slightly to the side like it was studying us. Around that time, I started noticing a smell in the air. At first it was faint, but it kept getting stronger. It smelled rotten, like something dead somewhere nearby. That heavy, sour smell that sticks in your nose. The smell seemed like it was coming from the direction of the trees where the deer was standing. After a moment, the deer stepped sideways, but the way it moved looked stiff and awkward. Then it turned and walked back into the woods. Not long after that, the smell slowly faded. Nobody talked much after that, and eventually we all went to sleep. Sometime later in the night, I woke up because I heard leaves crunching outside my tent. At first I thought one of the guys was walking around the campsite. Then I heard a voice quietly saying my name and telling me to come here. It sounded like Jake. I almost answered, but something about the way the voice sounded felt wrong. The tone was flat and strange. I unzipped my tent a little and looked out toward the fire and saw Jake and Marcus still asleep where they'd been earlier. A few seconds later, I heard footsteps moving through the campsite. They circled around my tent slowly and then stopped right next to it. Through the tent fabric, I could hear breathing and it was really close. Then that same rotten smell came back, way stronger this time. It smelled like something dead was standing right outside the tent. After a moment, the footsteps started moving again. I heard them across the campsite toward Liam's tent, and then eventually head back toward the trees. After that, everything went quiet again. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. When the sun started coming up, I got out of my tent and Jake was already awake. I asked him if he'd been walking around during the night, and he looked confused and said no. Liam came out of his tent a few minutes later, looking pale, and immediately asked if Marcus had been outside calling for him during the night. Marcus was still asleep. Jake ended up finding footprints near the edge of the clearing. They looked almost human, but not quite. They were long and narrow, and the toes were pressed deeper into the dirt than the heels, like whatever made them was walking strangely. The tracks went from the woods, circled around every one of our tents, and then went straight back into the forest. We packed up that same morning and left the campsite days earlier than we planned. The walk back to the cars was quiet and nobody really said much. Even now, none of us can agree on exactly what we saw that night. But we all remember hearing the voices, and none of us have gone back to that place since.
Try Angel Soft for your tushy. It's made by angels. Soft and strong, budget friendly. The choice is simple. A roll that feels like paradise, and always at a heavenly price. Angel Soft, Angel Soft. Soft and strong, so it's simple.
Pick up a pack today.
Angel Soft. Soft and strong, simple.
Do you keep hearing podcast ads, like this one, for example, but always wonder how you actually get involved with them for your own brand or organization? Well, it's easier than you think. We're Acast, and we give you the platform to do it all yourself. Browse thousands of popular podcasts, choose the shows that match your perfect audience, set your budget, and launch. And if you want a hand, our podcast specialists are there to help you launch with confidence. This is podcast advertising without barriers. Get started at acast.com/advertise.
I love this one. This is great. The weird deer. I saw a weird deer the other day in the woods. I was with Luna, and this deer just stopped. It was only a few feet away from us, and stared.
Yeah, well, that's what they tend to do before they run. Because they're checking it if, like, everything's safe or not.
Oh, okay.
And they smell you coming before you even see them.
I thought it was a not deer.
What, a skinwalkers?
Yeah.
I mean, you never know, do you?
No, and I'm telling you it was. Alright, because this was not a deer. The way it behaved, it just stared at me. Right in the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't seen a deer in the woods in a while.
Yeah, I see.
Seen a lot of deer in the field.
Yeah. This one was seriously, it was right by the entrance and only a few feet away. The reason that I mentioned it more so is, okay, fair enough, it didn't run off, but I was with Luna as well, and it just eyed us. And I said, "Oh, hello," like that. And it was just staring. It did eventually, run off, but then it stopped again and looked back at us, over its shoulder. Like, hello. Yeah, but I like this one. I'd love to go camping like that and hear stuff and then scream and run back and drive all the way home.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
We will indeed. We will catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
While every other channel is fighting for your customers' attention, podcasts are where they've already given it. No one accidentally listens to a podcast for 45 minutes. They choose to be here. They trust the voice in their ears, and when that voice talks about your brand, it doesn't sound like advertising. It sounds like a recommendation from a friend. Acast gives you that trust at scale. Digital precision, host-read authenticity, and performance data that proves it worked. Don't fight for attention. Buy it with Acast. Learn more by visiting acast.com/advertise.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.